Let me preface this by saying I've never been one to believe in anything paranormal. I don't believe in ghosts. I don't believe in demons. I'm not overtly religious. I don't believe in cryptids like Bigfoot, Chupacabra, or Nessie either. I do believe in aliens, but only because I firmly believe it's a mathematical impossibility that we're alone. However, something has happened that I simply can't explain, and I believe I know what caused it. But proving it will be something else entirely. I'll start from the beginning. I don't party that frequently. It's just not my thing. I'd rather sit at home and play some games or just have an evening out with my girlfriend. Crowds make me nervous, and I don't socialize well with others outside of work, which is odd considering I'm in sales, and socializing is a key part of my job. But last week, Steph talked me into going out with her. A coworker of hers was attending some big rave, and Steph is all about new experiences. So after an hour of driving through unoccupied countrysides and back roads, we arrive at a large, abandoned barn. Thinking back now, it should have struck me as odd that it was abandoned and looked in such good condition, but my social anxiety was kicking in and I was more focused on acting like a normal party goer, than anything else. Flash forward about 2 hours and several drinks later, and we're hanging out with a small group of people off to the side of the dance floor, which was more just a jumbled square of drunk people who might as well have been having sex while dancing. In the midst of conversation, a random girl appears. She was maybe in her mid-20s with dirty blonde hair. Skeletally, thin, and with sunken eyes, my drunken mind figured she was just on something. I mean, this was a rave after all, right? And drugs were being passed around like candy. I did take notice that her clothing seemed oddly conservative. She was wearing black jeans, a plain black shirt, and a black hoodie, zipped up about halfway. "Do you have a phone I can borrow?" she asks. Her voice sounded odd. Almost like a growl, but plenty of people have abnormal voices, right? Without thinking, I responded affirmatively and handed her my iPhone. She grabbed it and eagerly and wandered away with, a short distance. I turned back to my friends and continued my conversation. After a couple of minutes, I glanced over at her and received a bit of a shock. She had the phone to her ear, was speaking to someone and staring at me. Unblinkingly, with her eyes so focused, I felt like she was staring into my soul. It was extremely unnerving. We stared at each other for possibly about 20 seconds like that, all the while her still talking away. And after about 10 seconds, I realized that the side of my head around my ear, but on the inside, was tingling and stinging. It started as a minor annoyance and gradually progressed to outright pain until suddenly it disappeared at the same time she broke eye contact with me and took the phone away from her ear. She slowly walked over, handed my phone back to me, and with a slight smirk on her face, no words, she turned around and disappeared back into the crowd. Slightly freaked out at this point, I turned to Steph and told her we needed to leave. She gave me a puzzled look, but after seeing the expression on my face, which I can only imagine was pretty scared, she grabbed her purse without another word and walked with me back to the car. We got back to the house and crashed out for the night. After waking up the next morning, I realized that having had a few drinks probably made me more paranoid than usual. After all, she's just a harmless girl, a little creepy, but harmless, right? I don't know. Over the last week, my phone's been acting really odd. Sometimes Siri will fail to respond to commands. I mean, this is relatively new because I use Siri all the time. Once or twice, she's responded with the normal response she makes for invalid commands, such as, "I can't do that for you." Except these are commands she should recognize. I've also noticed my ear seems to be hurting a bit, a little on the inside here. It almost seems like a pressure headache. It must just be an odd coincidence that it happens when I try and use Siri, but that's getting harder and harder to believe. I'm writing this, though, because of something that happened last night. I've woken up about 3 in the morning. Steph was at her parents' house for the evening, so I was all alone. My ear was killing me. It felt like it was literally on fire. The pain was making my eyes water, and my phone was repeatedly making the beep beep sound it makes when Siri is activated. Once I got up from the bed, it stopped, but the screen was lit. I walked over and looked. It was on the Siri screen, and right there on the screen, as plain as day, Siri's response text read, "You've made a terrible mistake. You know that, right? Beep beep, waiting for response." I took the phone over to my local Verizon store this morning. I used to sell phones at this place a while back. One of my best friends manages it now, and I had him look at it. Of course, you know how they say your phone always acts up until you take it to the store? Yeah, well, I'm no different. Nothing responded in a funny manner. Siri didn't activate on her own. I began to think maybe I imagined it trying to talk to me. After all, it was late. I was disoriented. I thought maybe I even dreamed it. Either way, he reset the phone, just in case it was glitched or something. I went home and took a nap, as I didn't sleep well at all after what I thought my phone had done the night, before last. I woke up about 30 minutes ago, my shoes were on, and I could have sworn I took them off before I fell into the bed, but I was so tired I might have missed it. They have some mud on them. I got it on my sheets, and after cleaning those sheets... Crap. I better add that to the list of chores today. My pillow had some kind of odd black stain on it. It was sticky, like tar, but it stunk. My God, it stunk. It's odd, but the only way I can describe the smell, it's like rotten fire? Like eggs that had gone bad and then just been lit aflame. It made me... gag, sorry. The source of it seems to be from my ear canal. But some kind of ear infection may explain why it's been hurting the last few days, I don't know. That'll have to wait a few days, though. I have more important things on my mind. I rolled over, grabbed my phone, and activated Siri so I could call Steph. And when I did, the most recent stuff from Siri popped up. There are no timestamps, but I don't remember any of this. Nobody's borrowed my phone today, and I most certainly didn't do this. I'm going to copy what's on here, from Siri, and from whoever responded to her. Siri says, "Get up." I said, "Get up now." What do you want? What are you? You'll find out. For now, you're going to do something for me. My head hurts. What's going on? Relax. Let me in. It'll make the pain stop. You can make it go away? It's because you won't let me in that it hurts in the first place. Just make it stop. And that's it. The conversation ends after that. There comes a point where you can't try to rationalize things and explain them away anymore. Something's wrong. I know it. Something I can't comprehend what's happening. All I know is that the pain in my head has increased tenfold. My eyes are watering just laying here. It's difficult to think, but I've drawn one conclusion. I've been thinking that the girl who borrowed my phone, something didn't seem right with her. She's wearing clothing that's completely out of theme for a party. It was a rave. She's dressed like the goth chick you knew in high school, and thinking back, her clothing looked really ratty, worn and dirty. Like it hadn't been washed in some time. I know it's some kind of pipe theory, but I keep thinking about how well maintained an abandoned barn looked. Does she live there? I mean, this all started after she borrows my phone, and this all seems to be emanating from that damn device. Maybe I should drive back there, see if I can find her, if anything, find a clue. It's morning, finally. I've been barricaded in my room for some period of time. I don't really remember when. Time is kind of fluid to me right now. I've been blacking out periodically, but I always woke somewhere else. I'm not stupid. I'm sure I'm being possessed or controlled or something like that. Whatever it is doing, it's smart enough to not wake me up in any place that I could even remotely glean an idea of what it's doing. I'm always in a park or in an alley. My blackout episodes, they come and go in spurts. The calendar says it's only been about a day and a half since my first episode, but I checked that on the phone and I'm no longer inclined to trust anything that says. I can fight it from taking control if I want, but this is where the earaches and headaches start. Eventually, I gotta give in. The pain just becomes too much. Sometimes I can go a couple hours, sometimes a few minutes. When I do give in, it takes over. I've been in my room and fighting it off for a record 5 fucking hours right now. It talks to me frequently, too. Even if what it says most of the time is horrifying, I'm getting used to it. I find it comforting, how strange is that? I know I'm beginning to go insane. I'm sure you people are going to be freaked out, but you know what? Good. You should be scared. I don't know why it chose me. It has big plans, though. Bigger than me. Bigger than any of you. If this thing has its way, we'll all die screaming. I hear it in my head, though. And it's the strangest thing, the conversations still appear on my phone screen, and it's occasionally branched out to other forms of electronics. My computer turned on 20 minutes ago. It opened Skype on its own. A video call initiated, whatever it was. I spent a few minutes talking. It looked to me, its eyes were black, completely, all the way to the edge of the eyeball, and when it spoke, it sounded like several voices all saying the same thing at the same time. I don't remember what we discussed, but it was shortly after that I unplugged the computer from the wall. Powering the phone down does no good. It just turns back on. Alright, yeah, why am I barricaded in my room? The answer's simple. The girl is in my house. Except I don't think she's a girl anymore. If she ever was in the first place, that is. The thing in here that wants... The thing in here with me wants to get out there to her. I can sense it. It hurls obscenities at me from the phone whenever she comes to my door. She never tries to force entry, though. She just stands on the other side. I can hear her footsteps come up and stop right outside. She's responded once or twice, but it was in a language I don't understand. Maybe Latin? She followed me back from the farm. I went out there to investigate for all the good it did. What's happening was going to happen regardless, but now I have an idea of why. And I think that may be worse overall. Ignorance is bliss. When I arrived there, it was about 9 p.m. last night. There were lights on inside, so I walked in. I'd been pissed. I was tired of being frightened. I wanted answers. Inside, the main large room was in a similar state to when we left the rave, although entirely absent of people. After a little digging around, I found a ladder going down in a basement. Being a stubborn, foolhardy son of a bitch, I went. When I reached the bottom, I turned around and saw the strangest sight. She was sitting in the middle of a medium-sized room, cross-legged on the floor with her back to me, completely naked. Circling around her was an odd array of electronic objects on tables, computers, tablets, printers, cell phones. All of them were floating a few inches off the table facing her, and all of them were saying different things, some in languages I don't understand, some in English. I caught a couple sentences from a tablet and a cell phone near me. Not long now, not much longer, soon we rise. Pain, yes, we love it, we want it. Torture you, hurt you, make you scream, make you cry. Suddenly every device slammed to the ground and shattered. Her head just jerks up and slowly turned around while her body remains motionless. Eventually her head was turned all the way around, looking at me. Her eyes, they were as black as night. She grins at me. Black, tar-like ooze seeped out from between her teeth, and when she spoke, it was in a voice like no human I've ever heard. Low, guttural, almost animal-like. I expected her to explain what was happening to me, but she wouldn't, or couldn't. Instead, she just keeps repeating. Not long now, not long now. Closer he comes, closer, closer, almost here, almost here. And as she's repeating this, I felt the thing in me, and my phone becomes elated. It liked what she was saying. Suddenly her face on a shocked look. I noticed disturbances in the air as if something unseen was rushing at her. From all angles, her voice began to take on many layers as if many things were talking at once, all from her. I ran. I made it back here. Knowing she was behind me the whole way, I barricaded myself. I'm updating this from my phone. I just want you people to see because it hasn't stopped me. The pain is becoming too much. I'm gonna have to give in at any moment. I don't know what happens from here. I mean, we'll see. It's gonna take over at any moment. I want you to know, whatever happens, I didn't intend to cause harm. I'm sorry. Nulla est ubique, obvious omnia sinit. Onibus ubique tua est, usque ad tempus, vos non potestis pugnar. Legio enim sumus, nos otim multi sumus. Well, this was definitely something. Cell phone's gone completely wrong. Now, I, for one, before we begin, do not use Siri or Google Voice or Cortana or any of those hands-free assistants on most modern smartphones or, various devices. Usually I can do whatever I need to do on my phone faster than any of those systems could ever do. Of course, sometimes you use them to quickly search for whatever when you're in the shower. I don't know. But I don't really use the personal assistants as much as I guess some other people do. But here we come across someone who really uses Siri, And apparently it seems like there's a possession or whatever of the cellular device they have, and apparently that transmits itself onto the protagonists themselves. Now, at first, the story, towards the end becomes incredibly cringeworthy, with the woman sitting naked with levitating laptops and tablets. That image alone is just quite something, that is a little hard to picture. And when I say hard to picture, I mean you really can't picture that without laughing internally to an extent. Now, let me say that throughout the story, when you get to the second half, there's a big shift in the whole tone of the story, and a very creepy shift too. I don't know what happened, but it seems like this individual is crazy, and definitely crazy, but it seems for some reason I just cannot believe the latter half of the story and the way it's told at all. I don't think the person saw anything in the barn that dreadful. The Latin at the end roughly translates to something along the lines of technology is pervasive, it allows us to access everything, everyone, everywhere. Your time is ending, you cannot fight, for we are legion and we are many. It's a pretty satanic link, if you could tell. Throughout many times, stories involving, satanic control and technology have always existed, so it's not anything new. I mean, I've seen it before. Is it dumb? Kinda. Do you really think the devil controls your smartphone or laptop? Trust me, computers are stupid. Plus, demons controlling your computer is pretty stupid. But the concept is interesting. Now, one of my issues, and big issue over here, is what really is going on. Of course, the build-up is interesting. You start off with an individual who, details their social anxiety. They go to a party. Their phone, is borrowed. I mean, I've had my phone borrowed too. People wanted to borrow it to make a quick call, to somebody that they, either to get picked up or whatever. People ask to borrow phones here and there, and if you're nice, whatever. If you feel like giving it, you give it. It happens. And as soon as that begins to occur, this skeptical individual of ours comes across what seems to be ear infections at first, to the point where black tar allegedly leaks out. You have massive headaches, extreme amount of paranoia, and things just generally break down from that point on. So you have the buildup. But the issue is, it never goes anywhere at that point. You literally get to a cliffhanger ending. It is literally a cliffhanger, with the last bit just being the Latin phrase. And, I mean, to be honest, even though I've seen the story done somewhere else, I do like to see these kind of stories, and I wish it would have led to some place else. I mean, all we really know is this weird woman talking on the phone and stuff started happening. I mean, who's the weird woman? Is she some techno-satanic cultist chick? We don't know. Why the heck was anything levitating? Who was phoned? We don't have those concrete answers. Now, it was intriguing to see what Siri would do and what the link between the phone and the person was. But again, you never lead up to anything. You have all these things, but you never, ever get anywhere. I do like to see creepypastas like this. Creepypastas that involve the weird side of computers and the internet, things such as Facebook. I mean, remember the dead girlfriend messaging on Facebook? That's interesting to know. You want to see how the heck the phone is trying to kill the person. You see people, talking about their Siri waking up in the middle of the night, or, them waking up and seeing their phone literally has, Siri has Googled how to kill someone, or how am I going to kill someone, or that kind of dark shit in the middle of the night. Now, granted, it could have popped up. Maybe the person was sleep talking and said, "Hey Siri," which, is if you have that enabled on the iPhone, it triggers Siri up, and they could have said, "How do I kill someone?" And it could have tried to Google that. Could it be Siri being a homicidal maniac on her own, pushed through Apple servers? We won't know. I mean, hopefully not. But it's those kind of interesting creepypastas you want to see. You want to know how the technology is affecting people, because sure, you can have demons, sure, you can have weird ROM hacks, sure, you can have all that stuff, but when things are so related to, when things are so grounded in reality, and when this stuff can happen so commonly without such an explanation, you want to see where it leads up to. With that being said, that was, I think my phone is trying to kill me. I don't know if the phone is really trying to kill this individual, but that being said, this is the end of our creepypasta, and if you like what you saw, please like, comment, and subscribe. Dislike it if you dislike it. Let me know what you thought about it in the comments below. If you thought it was a little cringeworthy, if you thought it was basically a shitpasta, let me know. If you thought it was great, let me know as well, and let me know what else you want to have read on this show. This is me, Mutahar, and this has been another episode of Creepypastas. I am out.